And welcome back. This half an hour in the clearest indication yet to the agenda of the ANC's National Executive meeting called on Monday. The ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says the NEC will look at providing closure on the matter of leadership transition. Addressing the Mandela Centenary rally in Cape Town, Ramaphosa said the ANC is aware that South Africa wants closure on the matter and that the NEC is working towards it. He added that the resolution of transition is of great significance for the country. He reiterated for the core transition to be managed in such a way that it unites South Africa.
As the leadership of the African National Congress, we are currently engaged, comrades, in discussions around the transition to a new administration and specifically to resolve the issues of the position of the President of the Republic of South Africa. Comrades, the successful resolution of this matter has great significant consequences for the country and for the African National Congress. It is therefore important that we should manage these discussions that are currently underway with care and purpose, ensuring that we put the interests of South Africa first. The National Executive Committee of the African National Congress will be meeting tomorrow to discuss this very matter, and because our people want this matter to be finalized, the National Executive Committee will be doing precisely that. We know you want this matter to be finalized. We know you want closure on this matter.
The National Executive Committee is meeting in Pretoria on Monday. The party had earlier postponed its February 7th meeting to the 17th, but it has since been advanced once again.
The media needs to be aware that the National Executive Committee of the ANC is meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock at its standard venue, St. George, and that immediately after that meeting we'll pronounce ourselves. And the decisions that will communicate coming out of that meeting will be our final resolve on all matters that they've been out in the public. And I can assure you that immediately there's an NEC decision, all of us are going to be talking in one language.
And joining me right here in studio is Miss Kim Hela, who's a political analyst, with Professor Sipho Siepo, who's also a political analyst, and also Mr. Hagwi Maumela, who's a member of the Zuma Amasco. Now, welcome to Prime, and thank you for joining us. Now, the ANC president has given a clear indication, and yet that this NEC meeting is to finalize the transition. How do you see the planning go about? Let me start with you, Kim.
Thank you. Lovely to be here with all of you. Well, I think we're seeing this transition, which the ANC is trying so hard to manage, actually being a code word for Zuma must fall. And it's distressing that tomorrow's NEC meeting is going to be focusing on a singular issue, which is the recall of a president, which was not even part of the December mandate of the ANC. So I see we have a lot of people speaking on behalf of the people, and I'm curious about which people are being spoken for, because it certainly was not the mandate of ANC branches. It certainly hasn't been the mandate of the NEC to date. And, you know, if we think that, that poverty, landlessness and inequality is going to be eradicated by the simple recall of a president who's actually fast-tracked RET, I think we're very mistaken, and we are playing to an agenda. And I've said in my writings, we're speaking to the Pied Piper of an agenda that is outside of the ANC, and that is extremely dangerous. Sadly, for South Africans who are expecting to wake up in a glorious, free and liberated South Africa on Tuesday morning, if the president does resign, which I'm hoping he doesn't, they're going to land up waking up to landlessness, lack of opportunity, structural inequality, and poverty. So you know, nothing is going to change by the removal of one person, and I'm sorry that the NEC is not focusing on more urgent issues, like timetabling a very crucial program around land expropriation without compensation and RET measures.
Now, I'm going to go to Mr. Maumele, where you said your group has called for the national shutdown tomorrow, but it has been lashed out in all, including the ANC, for speaking out of turn. Your response on that?
Thank you for inviting me, and it's always a pleasure to be here, because there are a number of things that need to be clarified outside there. We should not sit here and waste people's money by talking things that are not relevant, that talking things that do not touch the day-to-day life of our people. And we should not sit here and lie and say that if President Zuma is recalled by tomorrow, there will not be this and that. The fact of the matter is that Zuma must go. There are a lot of things that are mount on him. You know, there's the Concord issue, the public, the society. If we said tomorrow, let's go for the elections between Zuma and somebody who's a very ordinary person, believe you me, that particular person will beat Comrade Zuma. So coming to those things, the statement that was said by Pule Mabe and whoever that might have said, and I could simply ask a question. I saw a Twitter today, you might have seen it, by Professor Hlengiwe, who is a minister and honorable, criticizing the president and say, which is the president Cyril Ramaphosa, and say they may even make it in a funny joke, and that is a very serious insult. So we are sitting with a crisis that has been created by one individual person who has been surrounded by a group of gangs and group of criminals, and we cannot allow our space to be destroyed.
Mr. Maumele, I'm going to have to interject you right there. Mr. Sepo, what is your view on Mr. Maumele saying that this person is surrounded by a group of criminals and all these comments? Your view on his comments?
Well, my position is that I'm not into the habit of throwing insults. What we need to do is to focus on what the ANC itself says and what are the resolutions. The president of the ANC has told the members of the NWC, and has also today told the crowd that he was addressing. And yesterday we also had Gwede Mantashe saying the ANC is not in a good space. And he attacked the analysts and the media for putting pressure on the president of the ANC to fast track the process, when in fact what the ANC is trying to deal with is something delicate. And I think President Ramaphosa is correct to say we must also remember that these are all comrades, and the manner in which the transition is handled, and the decision of the NEC was that the two offices must coordinate, and then there's been a metamorphosis, maybe through the pressure from society or some members of society and the media, to move from coordination to transition. And it seems to be accepted that there is going to be a transition. And I think the issue of President Zuma going, I don't think it's an issue that is debatable. And I don't think even he himself says he should not go. What the ANC is saying is that give us an opportunity to find a way in which we can deal with this. And it is very important also to remember that in as much as you have other people who are opposed to him, who are not, who will insult anybody associated with him, you also have other people within the ANC who are also good standing members who hold a different view. But all of them, they know that President Zuma's time is up. And to tell the truth, I think for his own sake, it would be a good idea for him to resign. Because once he resigns, he'll take off all this pressure from both the ANC, from himself, so that we then begin to start addressing the issues that are pertinent. I mean, when you talk about what people go through on a daily basis, I can assure you that tomorrow and day after tomorrow, there'll be protests in this country. And those will be people who are ordinary, who are saying, we want water, we want our kids to get to school, and all those things. So I think the sooner the ANC handles this transition, but it must handle it in such a way that it does not implode in itself. And this is what President Ramaphosa was trying to put across, to say, give me a chance. This is why when the ANC called a special meeting. He says, no, let us delay it because the meeting that I had with President Zuma has been constructive and whatever. So what I'm saying is that people have a right to express their impatience, but also we must also understand that that's one of the views.
Professor, I'm going to have to hold you right there to go to Kim. Kim, we know that the ANC has been preaching the mere factor of unity within the party. Now, do you think the country leadership will be resolving these problems with the National Executive Committee doing precisely that as of tomorrow's meeting?
Well, unity is critical, and it always has to be the A game of the ANC. But I think we've seen since December, although that was the collective call of the organisation, I think the ANC is allowing the opposition and opposition forces to damage its unity. And I wrote a column on Friday where I said the engine of the ANC is actually being expertly dismantled by opposition. And we have all these people, very conservative newspaper editors saying, Cyril, go, expel the president, recall him. But these people are not going to stand by the new president. So I think that Ramaphosa would do well to ensure that there's internal cohesion and organizational unity within before he tries to speak to the praise singing of whitenesses, which is not going to support him, certainly not the minute that he takes any meaningful step in terms of land expropriation and radical economic transformation. And I think it's quite distressing to see how the ANC is giving into external pressures right now, because it is not setting its own agenda. And this discord of disunity is actually a gift to the opposition. It's accelerating their progress in what you would call an ideologically barren political dilemma that the opposition find themselves in. So we are merely, the ANC is merely fueling the opposition agenda by playing to their tune rather than to listening to the authentic voice within the ANC. And let us not forget for one moment that in December, the ANC branches, who are the kings of the ANC, did not speak about the recall of President Zuma. They spoke about land expropriation. They spoke about RET. Now, where are those voices? And when we speak about unity, why do we get the incoming president of the ANC in Davos speaking double talk about land expropriation and without compensation? And why do we get voices like Mashatile reporting back to the investor community as if they're a primary branch of the ANC? It must be stopped, because we're actually damaging, they are damaging harmony within the organization by reporting to these so-called outside investors as if they are the prime branch. I don't understand it.
Mr. Maumela, I can see that you want to say something.
Can I just say before you question me, because I do not want to be sitting and being cornered to a certain discussion.
Okay.
I want us to debate.
Okay.
Do not lie and say the issue of the president was not the issue that we have discussed in the conference. I was a part of the conference. I was a delegate. The issue of the president, we said that let it be in the hands of the NEC. Let be the NEC that will deal with the matter. Then the NEC discuss the matter. Then ask the NCC to then deal with the matter. And we as the members of the ANC, we are not feeling pressure from the opposition party. And then when Cyril was talking in Davos, he never had a double voice. This is what we have been discussing, whatever that Cyril was talking about. Remember, before he even left, there was a briefing, even in Santen. Cyril speaks, and by the way, when he was in Davos, he was speaking as the deputy president of the country. You should remember that. So Cyril speaks the mandate of the ANC and what the ANC was discussing. So don't mislead people and say Cyril has a double voice. Secondly, coming to the issue of saying that the ANC itself, is not for the first time that you had a group, the members of the ANC themselves, standing up and go to Lutuli. There was Occupy Lutuli.
Mr. Maumela, now let's say if the NEC takes a decision to remove Zuma, this is all to my panels right here, to remove Zuma tomorrow, who will actually be victorious? Would it be the people of South Africa or the ANC as being alleged, or it will be in their position parties? I'm going to start with you there.
Okay, the people that will be victorious is young and the women and the men in the street. Because whatever that happens in our politics, it affects our day-to-day life. So if Zuma is out and then Cyril is in, then the people in the streets will become, in the clip that you just played now, when president of the ANC addressing the members of the ANC, when he said that we know that you want us to finish, he was addressing the members of the ANC. He was not addressing DA, he was not addressing the other, he was addressing the members of the ANC in Western Cape, where even NDZ enjoyed a very great support during the election times. But those people, when he speaks about that, they start to have joy inside of their heart. To say that even we as members of the ANC, we are sick and tired of this matter, because you wake up in the morning, Zuma. You wake up in the evening, Zuma. You go to the newspaper, Zuma. You look at this, everything is Zuma, Zuma. So these things must come to an end so that we start a new life. If Zuma is not, a good leader knows when to leave the stage when he's dancing. You can't just have one person who is insisting to be in
there, Mr. Maumela. Professor Sepe, you have something to say?
I think there is no difference between what they are saying. Actually, he's correct that the matter of President Zuma was raised in the conference, but it was not left as a resolution that he must go. It was left to the NEC to resolve those issues, because that's why the NEC was elected. And he's also, and we must understand that the ANC, even there are different perspectives within the ANC. It's a body of different political opinions. And he represents as a grouping that is impatient with President Zuma. They want to see him gone. But there's also another group. So it cannot be that he is not a representative of the ANC.
Professor Sepe,
there are other people who are holding a different view. So the issue is here is as members of the ANC, they have a responsibility to put their own pressures.
I will come back to you. I'm going to come back to you, and we need to quickly go right here, but we will finish this discussion. Now, before we go to any further, let's take a look at listen to how the EFF leader, Julius Malema, tore into the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa last week. Now, during a presser, Malema, who is in the last 2 years, had hardly uttered a word against Ramaphosa. He has lashed out at the ANC President, saying his importance should not be overinflated. Let's take a listen.
Ramaphosa is a product produced by the Oppenheimers, working with the Ruperts. We fought the Guptas. We succeeded. We're not going to allow the Ruperts to be Guptas. If their own media, white-owned media, is going to allow them, we're not going to allow that. Why is the media today not telling us that the child of Jabu Mabuza is working as a PA of Johan Rupert? But we are told who Ace Mahashule's son is working for. Is it a nice capture when it's done by whites? And it's unacceptable when it's done by blacks? Capture remains capture. Worse if it's done by whites. We have captured our country for a very long time. Rupert, they are all celebrating. I've never seen captains of the industry so happy in a long time. They are now manipulating rent to show some strength. There's no strength of anything there. It's a manipulation by white capital to create an impression that Ramaphosa is the angel we have been waiting for. Once white capital praises something too much, then you must begin to doubt it. There's something wrong here.
And coming back to our guests, let me go to you, Kim, and Professor right there. Now, Malema perhaps wanted, with regards to this video we just watched, this footage, Malema perhaps wanted Ramaphosa to win with the ANC elections, but it seems things has turned against him rather completely. Now, is it perhaps simple, no matter who becomes the ANC president, or will he always be the target by the opposition and the so-called white-owned media?
Yeah, let me just go back to just one point. When members of the ANC express themselves, it is not our job to try to discredit them and say they are not representing the ANC. But what we need to do is to acknowledge that the ANC is a complex structure. And this is why Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of the ANC, was saying, let us handle this in such a way that we don't end up imploding. But what you have actually played there is simply the concern that members of the ANC must also address, that they must know that whoever is the president of the ANC will always be a target of opposition parties, because that's what they do. But I would also think that the people like Julius Malema and all other opposition parties, they are in trouble, because as Mr. Mamela was saying, that you wake up in Zuma, if you have spent all your energy and your agenda is Jacob Zuma, once he's gone, what is going to be? So he's suggesting to the ANC that you should know that even the one who is actually coming is going to be subject to the same. But it will be up to the leadership of the ANC to make sure that it does not betray the resolutions that were taken at in NASREC. And so that is not the notion of transition must be handled properly. And I do think that, as I said, President Zuma's time is up. But the ANC has a responsibility to make sure that it treats its own leaders, who have also contributed quite well. But they must rest assured that, I think for me, if I was a member of the opposition party, I'd be worried. Because the mainstream media has actually done a good job for the ANC. Because it had said all that is wrong in the ANC is Jacob Zuma. So many people will be very happy when there's a new person. But it is going to be a challenge for the opposition parties to say, how do you rise when you are also agreeing with the media that the Jacob Zuma must go? Now, when he's gone, then you should actually be saying we support the incoming leader. So Malema can see that challenge coming, and I think other opposition parties can see that.
Now, I'm going to go to you, Mr. Maumela. We've seen that the group has been very vocal for over the past few weeks, and a formed part of group to protect to protect Luthuli House, which also there were clashes with the BLF that happened. There were victimization of women being kicked by the members of the ANC. Is this the mandate of the ANC, and which branch does this mandate belong to?
Before I even answer that, I want to go to that video. I'll come to that one. Malema is just an opportunist. He's becoming bankrupt in his thoughts and tactics. And it will be very painful for the party like EFF that we thought they are very radical in terms of economic transformations. And I mean, if you then concentrate on, I mean, who forms the EFF? I think that's the question we should ask ourselves. Who funded them? What was the trip to UK all about? So they should not come and start talking nonsense and says Cyril is captured. Cyril is not captured. It's a very strong man, bold man, very principled person. So they should not come up with I think the call we should make to the all opposition parties that start to concentrate your manifesto, empower the lives of the people that you lead, go and win the life of, the votes by telling the truth, not lies, because they will be disappointed. Come 2019, with Cyril will get the third majority. And coming to your questions, Zuma must go. Hashtag Zuma must go. It's a movement which involved the members of the ANC.
Yeah, Mr. Maumela, let's go back to the questions where the group, the Zuma Must Fall group, where do you guys get your mandate, and which
You wouldn't get my answer if I did not give you the background, because then you will ask me a question with
Are you the member of the ANC?
Let me answer the question that you've asked me first, so that you don't corner me. Unless you want me to give you the question that you're expecting for. So there is no point of debate. When you are debating, we must make sure that we understand one another.
No, but you're not answering the question whether are you the member of the ANC and who came up with this mandate and what branch are you coming from?
You made a statement that has a background. So allow me to make a background. So you make your own background. You talk about the woman was kicked. You talk about the BLF.
Yeah, but then
so
these are the clashes that happened right there with the ANC members kicking over women.
I can ask a question.
Well, you haven't answered. Are you the member of the ANC? And what mandate is this from? And what branch are you coming from?
I'm also going to ask a question. Is who was the hashtag Zuma Must Go part of that was the one that I've
But you can't answer a question with another question because you haven't answered me when I'm asking you. Are you a member of the ANC?
No, because you're cornering me. You cannot give me the background.
I'm not cornering you, but you're not answering. We can't move on if you're not telling me whether you are a member of the ANC. Are you the member of the ANC? And what branch are you from if you are the member of the ANC?
And I said, no, listen, you must also
listen. Where does your mandate come from?
If for the point of coming here was a discussion, you give me the background. You should allow me to give you the background so that we can all understand one another. You tell me about
what is the background while I'm asking you which branch of the ANC are you coming from? Where is your mandate coming from?
No, listen to me. You speak about the woman that was kicked.
Yes.
You speak about the BLF. And all those things that you are referring to, we were only supporting the people that have organized that march. So you referred...
Okay, but then you should know what I'm talking about.
No, listen. You refer to something that were not part of the organizer, and you want me to answer and the background of the things that you have said.
I don't want you to answer. I ask you 3 questions that you are failing, but you are failing to answer the simple 3 questions that I asked you.
You are not going...
You have failed the 3 questions that I've asked you. You've only answered me that too, but you didn't tell me where your mandate is from and which branch are you from. I'm not referred. I'm telling you, there were ANC members there. There were ANC members in front of the Lutuli House, and men stood there and did nothing. The police stood there. The ANC people didn't do anything. And you're not telling me which branch are you from and where is this mandate coming from?
No, listen. You are
telling me. Where is the mandate from?
No. You are not fair unless if you've been puppeted by somebody with a question and you ask me the question without not the understanding. Because if you bring the BLF and bring the woman that was kicked, that organization was not organized by us. It was organized by the group called...
Mr. Mamwela, all I asked was to ask you, where do you get the mandate from? That's a simple question. Where do you get your mandate from?
I'm not going to answer that stupid question.
Is it a stupid question?
No, it is.
How is it stupid when I'm asking you, where do you get your mandate?
No.
And which branch are you from? If you guys are going to be doing a campaign, you shouldn't be hiding where you're coming from. Why are you hiding which branch are you coming from and where do you get this mandate?
If you've been fed with the question...
By what?
By
what?
You want to...
By what? I'm asking you the questions that I've written here. I'm asking you the mandate. Where is this mandate from?
If we are discussing on a certain... No, wait.
Can I defend you?
No, before you even defend me, you must give me a chance. You must give me a chance. If you gave me the background of the things that were not involved... And then as a case that was involved, I must first clarify and say, the Zuma must go, hashtag Zuma must go, we're not part and parcel of that particular movement. That was done by Whitey, the defending of the Lutuli House, which was on defense of your partners, the BLF. So you cannot hide that and bring them to me, and you want me to answer that stupid question. I mean, you've been stupid. Been stupid.
Well, Mr. Momela, now that you have given us your background and
no, there's no background that I've given to you. You have never listened to me until you listen to my background. You're not listening. So you're not interested to listen.
Let me say.
So, I mean, I think you're trying to serve your masters by bringing idiotic question to me. And I'm not going to sit here and answer the questions that are very stupid. Because you cannot give me the... I'm trying to clarify myself that we were not part of that match. We went and support the match. That's why even one of your journalists, we told them that we are not part of these things. We are here to support. And we even condemned the disease. That's why we went and find out the comrade and take him to the police station. Because we condemned the issue of beating. So you cannot just come and bring all this kind of words and then you want to impose and that question of which, because in the movement, when you do what is called a movement, let me educate you for free. When you mobilize or you want to start, I can give you a simple question. When people were mobilizing from Nkosazana and Zuma, which mandate did they get it from? Who? And by what?
I think...
Who gave the mandate of those people to go and campaign for Nkosazana? I'm not going... That's one simple question. Because your journalist, when she was interviewing me for the first time, I tell them I'm coming from this branch and from where. And for that record, I will not say it to you. Because you're trying to serve your master.
Let's understand this. It is not the job of anybody outside the ANC to discredit other members of the ANC for holding a view that is not shared by others. And there's nothing wrong in Mr. Mamwela being passionate about what he believes in. But what we're raising is, in that passion, there are other issues that need to be addressed. We're not saying they're not going to address them, but what we need to do is to have more of a meaningful discussion around the processes that the ANC has put out there to say this is how we're going to deal with it. But the members of the ANC have every right, because there are also pressure groups within, to push for the agenda that they have. There's nothing that stops those who say Jacob Zuma must stay to do the same. But what we are saying is that in a democracy, we must find a way in which we resolve these issues without resorting to violence, which they have not done so. And also, we cannot attribute mistakes by other people.
And then you carry that to me. That was very wrong.
Professor Siepe, thank you so much. But then I'm still going back to the same question that today you guys held a press briefing.
Before you go on, you must apologize.
Whose behalf?
Before you go on, you must apologize.
So you're not going to answer my question.
No, you must
refusing.
No, what is the point for you for not to apologize? Why can't you not apologize? Because you wanted me to carry the burden of other people. And that is very wrong, because you want to send the wrong message to the masses. To say Maumera has organized a gathering where a woman was beaten. And we've never done that. We went in support of our comrade because we're the member. Because if somebody who is not a member of your political organization then decided a march in defending of Zuma, we want just to say to the BLF, you must march to the union building. Literally, it's not a union building, and Zuma is not the president of the ANC.
Your own organization has distanced itself with regards this press briefing, the press conference that you guys had today. And on whose behalf was this made on? If your own organization is distancing itself from the press conference that you had today, what does that mean?
No, let me help you for free. When Comrade Cyril went to Johannesburg, where he went to Hillbrow, he went to the church of Pastor Khadebe. The very same ANC in Johannesburg, they distanced themselves from that gathering. So this issue of distancing themselves, it is the norm in the ANC that need to be addressed, that when comrades have a different view, we should not start by rushing to the media and distance ourselves. Our call is to engage the comrade. We are saying that we need to rebuild and reunite the ANC. Because you cannot, why are the very same Pule, why is he not giving the statement by the minister who laughed at the president of the ANC? The very same Pule, why is he not giving the statement to call Ace Makashulu, which is the SG of the ANC, who went to KZN and say to
Mr. Maumele, I guess we're running out of time, and I think this is the point where we have to accept that you have your own views, because they are not the views of your party, as also your party has distanced itself from the press conference. We need to go to a break. We're going to continue this discussion offline.
And of which we know Pule is the part of the NDZ. So we know that.
Those were our three panels. We had Professor Sipho Siepe, who's a political analyst, with Kim Hala, who's also a political analyst, and Mr. Hagui Maumele, who's a member of Zuma Must Go. Gentlemen and lady, I do appreciate your time. And this Sunday, it was a heated debate. And we will finish this debate, Mr. Maumele, because you haven't finished answering all my questions. But other than that, it's time for us to go to just a short break, and we will come back and give you more news and updates.